I'm here with HotshotGG at the CLG house to discuss, well, what's been going on with the team, Scarra's departure, as well as the performance of the team over the past split and what's going to change going forward. Hotshot, just sort of getting straight into it, why did CLG again for another split fail to show any kind of improvements from a poor placing at playoffs?
So I feel like a lot of it was our mentality when it comes to coaching. Um, Things like team identity, things like picks and bans, and we hadn't fully fleshed out our understanding of how things should be. And if you look at the team comps we played, I think in the playoffs, like game one, game two, those team comps were like they were like extremely mechanically intensive, play intensive, and then you look at like TL side, and it was like brain dead, can't mess up. And so I feel like in a high pressure situation where we don't have five fakers on the roster, you can't have that much freedom to control the draft and change the draft in that way. And I think that our players, while also not perfect, I think our coaching philosophy, our mentality was the reason why we started choking near the end of playoffs.
So how much, do you think that the team's poor performance, the split, is entirely a coaching issue?
I mean, I think a lot of it is a coaching issue. It's never one thing, right? Part of it is like my fault because, when I saw things that were going wrong in draft, I just chose to trust Scarra and Tony and to make sure that they're doing their thing right. And it just didn't pan off. Like I was looking at the playoffs and I saw game one, game two, and I was like, those picks are very questionable. Like right as they were picked, I just didn't agree with them. But I think that we have learned a lot of things from this split, mainly from the coaching aspect, not really the player management aspect, obviously, because those issues we've been learning about them for years now. But for coaching, that's something really, really new that's just introduced into the LCS. And it's been a learning process.
I mean, Doublelift had said recently, kind of frustrated way on his stream that you were not really around or you didn't see you that much these days. Like, is it true? Like, are you kind of checked out on the team thing?
So I work a lot on the business level and the very high level, like as far as managing sponsor relationships and planning out where we're going to expand the organization and all the managerial high level stuff. I've been working on that. But that being said, I do have a shit ton of knowledge when it comes to League of Legends, and I have knowledge of essentially the coaching position because I was the coach, when we were going through relegation. I was like, okay, I got to step up the plate and try to make the best out of this situation. So I didn't involve myself in the process when I thought it should have. And, I think that really hurt our results in the end.
So it's true that you weren't around as much. Is that going to change now?
So I wasn't around in terms of like the strategy discussion, and I kind of let Tony and Scarra handle that. But as far as being with the team, I was at LCS every week. I always took the guys out to eat. I was always around them. Like, it's not like I was a ghost of the past. And I think that the reason why Peter felt that way is like exaggerated because of the community's response, right? Everybody's out for blood. Everybody's looking for someone to blame. And when people are saying like Peter's fault, it's all Peter, and like that gets to anyone's head, right? When you have so many vicious and like eager fans that are just like let down or disappointed or just frustrated, it takes a toll on you. Like I swear to God, I should just like ban social media entirely unless we're like winning. And I blame myself for a lot of those expectations because I was like, golden age, praise the sun. And obviously it didn't pan out. So in the future, I have to manage my expectations more realistically to not get CLG fans that have been through so much, unless I know it's going to, for certain, be the golden age, not perpetuate that.
With you kind of focusing on the coaching side, and also a feeling for you that you just need to get more involved with sort of the strategy and make sure that the team is doing what it needs to do. Do you feel like those are the only two areas that need to be changed? Because I'm sure a lot of people, I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about they feel as though CLG needs roster changes, and we've seen a lot of discussion around that. So should fans expect roster changes to come now that the Scarra announcement has happened?
So I don't have an answer on what we will do with the roster, but I believe that change needs to happen, and I believe that no one is essentially safe if their attitude and their drive and their ability to play is not there. Like those are all different factors that were heavily concerning, and a lot of the reoccurring instances and facts we are very much aware of, and it's not like we're gonna, just be like, hey, friendship guys. That's not how we operate.
With so many people looking at the roster changes, obviously there's a lot of discussion around Link yet again. And for a lot of fans, they feel as though Link time and time again has had the opportunity to prove himself, and whenever it counts does not prove himself. Is that an area that you guys are looking to change in the mid lane? Is there the possibility that Link will no longer be on the team?
So I feel that Link as a player has improved a lot since last split, like immense amount. He puts in, I think, out of the whole team, probably the most effort, watches the most replays, is the most improved player. But at the same time, I realize he hasn't been showing up in playoffs, and he's essentially a choker in the eyes of the community. Sorry, I mean he has played poorly in playoffs. I'm not even going to say in the eyes of the community. But what I do know is that a lot of the things that have plagued Link, I think have kind of held him back. So, for instance, he was drafting very heavily with Scarra. I think that Scarra should have been the one to step up and be like, hey, you know what? You're against this player, and his Zed is essentially like one of the best in the world. Don't pride pick in it. Don't just play safe. Like, understand your weaknesses and your limitations as a player, and then work around that. And I don't think that has ultimately really, really, really happened.
I mean, but again, the question is, how long do you have someone like Link and allow them to compete on the team while you're still having these issues, especially whenever you have really big names like Incarnation available to be picked up by, teams as he comes out?
I mean, it's an issue that we're heavily considering. It's not something that nothing is set in stone yet, right? We're still actively thinking about this every single day, and every single hour to make sure how we can make sure that CLG fans feel that there's change, right? I don't feel that anyone's expecting us to just come out the door screaming like, bam, first place, take that, Samsung White's legacy, you know what I mean? It's more so that, hey, there's an upward trend in terms of change, and this is how we're going to get there. And I think my job as, CEO is to make sure that you guys feel that there's that transparency that things are going uphill. So I'm going to make sure to have a lot more interviews and talk about the team's problems on a more personal basis, so that you guys feel that you're at least you're at least feeling like it's heading in the right direction.
But there's a chance that the mid lane position might be changed. Is that a fair statement before the next split?
There's a chance that any position can be changed before the next split.
So is your bot lane, the famed bot lane, a possible duo that will not be returning?
Who knows?
With you kind of mentioned that you want to manage your own expectations, and really it was you mentioned that you feel like it was kind of unfair to say like the Golden Age stuff to fans and that kind of thing while you were still kind of building up. Do you fear that as the team continues to have these problems and have for so long, that a lot of the fans that have stuck around with CLG and really believed are going to start to walk away?
I mean, I realize that as a very, very real potential. And, I appreciate every CLG fan that has been with the organization and stuck around and really, help support us. I want to see, personally, right, I want to see that these players that have been through so much adversity, finally overcome that and succeed. And, if it doesn't happen, I apologize. And, I will just do at this point what's best for the team. And if those storylines end without, that adversity being overcome, that's just the way the team needs to progress to improve.
With sort of the same question, but a little bit different, there's a chance that fans may walk away with this. What about some of the players on the team that have been with it for a long time? Because you have situations where, you have players on the team actively expressing displeasure with the situation and that kind of thing. Doublelift as an example. Is there a chance that you fear that some of your star players, even Doublelift himself, might be leaving the team, especially if you guys don't make Worlds this year?
I mean, it's mutual at that point, right? And I never want to hold back a player from succeeding, right? And that's never what we've been about. We haven't been like, Doublelift, here's a gun to your head, and every single season, I think that we've done everything as a team and thought about all the solutions as a team and just planned everything as a team. And I feel like I need to just step up the plate and do what I feel is best, because when you have 5 people and there's 5 different roads to go down, I feel like you only reach every road halfway, and it just leaves everything as a mess. So I need to make a clear, decisive decision on where we want to head, and I need to stick with that and run with that.
Is there any temptation to just sort of like push down on the TNT button and just explode the whole roster and just reset? Because you guys have tried to make these sort of like incremental upgrades over time, and yet that doesn't seem to have panned out. Is there any chance that, or any temptation to just like restart and find some like new up and coming players and sort of look at things from a fresh perspective?
A TNT button, I think, is a little too over excessive, right? There's a lot of good players on the team that try extremely hard, that are very talented, and that have a good mentality. It's just everybody has their own core issue, and it's up to us to see what we can actually fix, right? If someone has a bad team mentality and it is just a shitty team player, then we can try to fix it. But if it doesn't happen, then that specific person is the problem, or is a problem. I don't think that you should look at it and just be like, things aren't working, press the TNT button. I don't think that's a right answer at all.
For, again, setting expectations for the team and for fans, for the team with the fans, do you think that there's a really good chance, with you coming in and sort of looking at things all over again, possible roster changes, a coaching change as well, should fans expect probably not to be headed to Worlds again?
You know what? At least if we fail and we don't do well, you can have someone to blame right here. I'll blame everything on me. Roster decisions, coaching decisions. I am trying my best to make sure that I meet the expectations of what everybody has for CLG. And, if I fail, I fucking fail. And I'll make sure that, change is had, and that there's one point of contact that can receive criticism so we can grow.
Sure, but for somebody watching this interview at the end of it, should they be prepared for a very likely chance of not making it to Worlds?
The future is unclear at this point. And I think that is an expectation downgrade from Golden Age.
Hotshot, is there anything that you would like to say to fans?
Yeah, I would like to thank all the fans that have stuck through us through the years, and especially a lot of the fans over at our CLG that have been really, really supporting us through, one of the toughest times that the organization has been through. I haven't seen so much, disappointment and frustration and going to a team ever. So, yeah, thank you guys for sticking with us.
Should people expect the motto for the next month with CLG to be "Change is coming"?
We'll have to see at this point. I know that change is good.
And should we expect to hear news about Coach soon?
As far as Coach, we're looking for people to fill in that position, and with this interview, there will be an application. And if you feel that you fit those criteria, then please apply. But we're only looking for the best of the best and people that are extremely passionate when it comes to esports, League of Legends, and preferably CLG.
Thank you so much for the interview, Hotshot. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of our coverage, all things LCS, at ongamers.com.